Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Prince Southeast Asia, Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan Closed Qualifiers. My name is Leah, aka Windflower Leah on Twitch and Twitter.
And this is Blep, at Blep the Cat, on Twitter and YouTube. It's so great to be back in the casting seat for these qualifiers.
It really is. We've had quite the year, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, we've had the pleasure of casting, a lot of finalists from different regions. We've had the NA and EU Prince Cups, of course, and, we've been through a lot of other tournaments like this, and we're finally kind of reaching the end of this series.
Yep. And, it'll be really exciting to see, of course, who goes on to become the top 8 and compete on stage in Malaysia.
Yeah, and I think we're really getting to, we've been following the competitive scene for quite a while. We're really getting to the point where the game is reaching kind of maturity. We've been around these top pros for a long time. There are players, that will be watching today that we know personally, and people started figuring out how to play this game, and there's been top tier decks and meta decks that have been bubbling to the surface. I'm sure we'll see a lot of that today. We'll get to talk about that plenty, but yeah, these are starting to get really competitive, and we're starting to see the really skilled players really come out on top.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, there have been some decks that have stayed strong in the meta throughout the patches, right? And it's like every time there's a new patch, new cards, instead of changing over to like different cores in the decks, it's like we see the same things emerging, but like slightly different changes. And, there's not one optimal way to run every deck, I think. Depending on the player, they might make some slight changes in their support cards or even like their third character card or something. But I mean, we see the same patterns, right?
Of course, and this is what I love about watching from these high-level tournaments, is that this is actually where you tend to see the most variety. Bringing a obscure deck or a weird set of characters or cards that opponents aren't used to is actually a really great way to fight against these top players, because they'll play around specific cards, and if you bring something unusual, then they're not going to know how to play around it.
And so here we have the tournament format. This is stage 1, the wild card. So in this tournament, 256 players competed, and then another wildcard region, Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan server, another 32 players competed, and from that, so 8 players emerged and basically made it to the closed qualifier group stage.
Yeah, and this was definitely a chance for hopefully you saw the announcements here for how to sign up for these, but this was a chance for any player who may or not have competed previously in the Cat Tail tournaments to have a chance to play and get a shot into advancing to the Prince Cup.
Yeah, so basically these 8 players did not come from the Cattails Gathering, as you said, and so there were another set of players that did come from the Cattails Gathering if they were able to sign up in time. So yeah, and
I mean, 256 players is a lot of players to have to fight through
it
a
really
6 seed.
is.
So all of these players are going to be of very high quality, very highly skilled for sure.
And so this is stage 2 of the closed qualifiers. Today we will be casting the closed playoffs, which is the top 16 from all of these different side tournaments. So 8 players from stage 1 wildcard will be in the group stage round robin against 24 invited players from the Cattails Gathering Season 3.
So a total of 32 players kind of playing in their respective groups. I believe it was like 2 matches against each player in their group. So they did have to play against every single player in their respective pod, which means, you can't just like get lucky in 1 or 2 things. You have to play against every single player. Again, all of these players are highly skilled, so very tough to make it through the group stages already.
Yep, it looks like the top 2 from each group advance to the closed playoffs, which is what we are commentating over today.
Yeah.
And the 8 players who come out victorious from these best of 3s will make it to the stage event in Malaysia.
Yeah, really exciting. I mean, very high stakes here. There's a huge prize pool on the line, not only in terms of money, but also, as you know, anyone who makes it to a top 8 of a Prince Cup gets that card back, that golden card back that's going to be so sought after for any of the players here. I mean, that for me, that would be the real prize.
I want the card back.
Yeah, it is beautiful. But of course, if you aren't good enough to make it to the top 8 of a Prince Cup, and most of us aren't, there is another card back, of course, that any player can get just by competing in the Cat Tail Gathering seasons.
And you see on screen right now, this Dragon Spine card back is so beautiful.
It is.
So, I mean, Season 4 just concluded of the Cattails Gathering, but there will be a Season 5, so please stay tuned for announcements about when to register and join the Genshin Impact Tavern Discord server if you want more information on that. Anyone is free to sign up for this. All you have to do is put in your UID and your player level, and yeah, just have fun playing. If you get, I believe, if you get 3 wins, 3 victories during a single season, you get the card back. So.
And Leah, you played in the season 4, right? How was that for you?
Yeah, a lot of Shunhas. A lot of Shunha Superconduct, yeah. I also spammed it, so, but I mean, I almost made it to the top 16.
You did. You were on the leaderboard at one point, I noticed.
I was, but there's just so many good players.
Yeah, the competition definitely is really fierce right now, so, I mean, you only need to get 3 wins for that card back, thankfully, but even then it can be quite a struggle, because, like, I played very early in the Castle series, and the competition definitely wasn't as fierce back then. So that's what I was saying, like, the game has really started to pick up and people are really started to figure out how to play the game, and so especially these top 8 players. So definitely be watching these games, watching what decks they use, the strategies they use, and maybe they'll be able to help you in the Season 5 of Cat's Tail Gathering for your own games, and then you'll be able to get that card back for yourself.
Didn't you also make it to, like, the top... You made it to knockouts.
I did. I made it to knockouts once. That might be the only time that I was able to do it. If and when there is another NA Prince Cup on the line, I'm definitely going to try and get a spot on that. For again, that golden card back is well worth fighting for. So I will be definitely keen to take part in the next one if and when it rolls around. But yes, I did make it once. I did not have a very good showing though. I'm a little bit embarrassed about my stream matches.
That's okay though. I mean, the point is that you made it through. You were able to make it onto this stage, right? Like, people are casting over your matches. But yeah, once again, if
yeah. So.
But yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not the competition has definitely heated up, and all the games are very close.
Looks like we're getting into game 1. So, I mean, for those of you watching along with us at home, I think we're only going to see one player perspective in this match, unlike what we normally see, both, player point of views and their dice and their cards and etc. We're just going to see this one player, and we also don't know what decks they're using going into these matches. Yeah. So we are just as surprised as you guys are.
In for the ride. So let's take a look.
Right off the bat.
And I believe we're looking at the perspective of Hua, one of the players here, and Dotia, who some of you may be familiar with from the Cat's Tail Gathering.
Made it to first place in Season 1, but it was NA, not Asia.
Kind of invaded NA region there. But it looks like we have a very popular deck that's been rising lately. It's Electrocharged with Pyro Agent against Pyro Kaching.
Yeah, so you don't have the Woven or any Resonance cards because it's a random rainbow deck, I should say. But it's very strong. Yeah,
it's really taken up in popularity. And also, we see the key card there. One of the only decks right now that's been very popular to run Tubby, which is one of my favorite cards to play. But it's very much kind of oriented at kind of stalling the game, long-term value, and I think it's mainly set up to beat the other Electrocharge variants there. I mean, Ocean and Fischl have been in the metagame for a long time. Both are very strong characters already in the pair. And the third character, we've seen Mirror Maiden, we've seen Nahida, and we've seen Pyro Agent. And this version is mainly kind of aimed at defeating other Electrocharge decks.
As a caster, it's always exciting to see something new like Tubby. We don't get to see things like that often. There's normally like optimal ways of building certain meta decks, and like Pyro Kaching is like a very classic deck for a long time now, even though it's gone through some changes over the patches. Like it's still like a core that we've seen very commonly, but yeah, seeing Tubby is great.
Seeing Tubby, yeah. I mean, Pyro Kaching has been a staple in the metagame for quite a while. I think we haven't seen it as much because people have been experimenting with a lot of new cards and these Electrocharge builds, but I think it's actually favored in this matchup. It's able to put a lot of single target pressure, which isn't exactly what the Agent EC deck is equipped to deal with, and where we can see that.
Oceanid already falling here. That's brutal.
Yeah, but Oceanid was able to get its summons out, so it's mostly done its job. The burst, they're not going to obviously come into play. It would have been nice, but Fischl's there at 2 energy already, so maybe we'll see a Fischl burst pretty soon.
Could be possible, though. I mean, Fischl does have Electro applied onto her, so...
Yeah, could be rough.
Could be bad. Also, Kaching has her burst up.
Yeah, with that Electro Aura, a Pyro Resonance, and any Pyro skill is going to be enough to take out Fischl, so she's in very dangerous territory. It looks like the Photos Cathedral will take her out of range of a one-shot. But I mean, this is kind of how the Electrocharged Agent deck wants to play. You know, it wants to set up its summons, deal enough damage, and the goal is to get your opponent down to one character versus Agent. Agent is a really hard character to finish off when it's one-on-one. You know, his skill gives him 2 shields.
Those Omni dice rolls are so awesome.
They are very good. So here we go.
There goes Klee.
Yeah, and it's actually...
No, I mean, the thing is, like, I mean, if they're bringing Tandoori and Pyro-Res in that Pyro Kaching deck, I mean, it could be pretty brutal.
Yeah, ooh, have to... Yeah, oh, the Stiletto here is going to take out Fischl before Burst. The extra 1 damage from Sack Sword coming in clutch there. I wonder if Hua didn't play around that effectively, but we'll see. It's Pyro Agent versus the rest of them.
I think we might see that 1 dice go to Hash.
Yeah, we'll probably see. I mean, this is kind of what the Agent EC deck is meant to do, is to stall out the game, you know, heal up Pyro Agent, and looks like even Kaching opting to not use Burst because there's only Pyro Agent left. This is interesting.
That is interesting.
Okay, so
I guess it's to avoid putting Hydro onto Bennett, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So one of the ways that the Agent Electrocharge deck finishes off your opponents is that you get that last bit of Hydro or Electro on that final character, and then it really powers up Agent's ability 1v1. So very heads up play there by Dotia to put on that Lotus Crypt. Even though it didn't soak up a lot of damage, it soaked up that elemental application, which could be huge, especially with Bennett's burst up.
I can't quite see the food at the bottom there. Do you know what food that is down there? I know there's a pizza. I know there's Adeptus.
I think. I mean, the deck runs Pizza, Adeptus, and Lotus Crisp, so it could be one of each of these. So
I thought I saw a hash brown.
Yeah, it might not matter because Adeptus should be able to close the game out here.
Yeah, Adeptus should take out Bennett here. So wow. Okay. -9 to Bennett.
That was a blistering fast game.
Yeah, that was a very fast game. The first match, it goes to Hua, of course. Congratulations, Hua.
Yeah, and these are, of course, best of 3s. I'm not used to watching kind of these matches in fast replay. It's really, like, you know, I'm pretty used to the players having to, like, sit and think and giving us time to digest what's going on. But that was a really quick match. You can see the power of the Agent Electrocharge deck in full view.
Yeah, I mean, it's as you were saying during the match, you know, Oceanid did her job getting out all of her summons, and unfortunately, Hua's opponent was not bringing Lament, as you know, has been a popular card lately, I think.
Yeah, so... Guardian's Oath there, the Xiao card as I don't know if viewers at home are going to know it as Lament. It's a bit of a meme name in of itself, but definitely a very powerful
that's
card.
That's in the community for it.
Yeah, it's a narrow card, but when it works, it really works. Obviously, it would have been great in that situation, but yeah, the Agent Electrocharge deck able to execute its game plan there perfectly, setting up its summons and then letting Agent finish the job. Yeah,
and so unfortunately, you know, Fischl fell and wasn't able to get off her burst, but it didn't really matter.
Didn't really matter. I mean, it kind of happened for both sides, right? Like, the game kind of played in such a way that Kaching wasn't able to use her burst either, you know, not really effective against a single target, and so both sides just relying on their skills.
Yep, and we are already going into game 2, so whoa, 2 Vanessa! I saw Kid Kuchidai, wait,
what is this deck?
Resonance. Whoa!
Okay, so looks like Dotia is going to use their Agent Electrocharge deck and up against a very funky deck on the bottom.
It's like a no you moment.
Yeah.
No reverse card, but wow, that's a very, very interesting Superconduct deck here.
Oh geez, and we are really speeding through this match. Okay, so we'll have to...
We are.
I mean, generally I would say the Agent EC deck is pretty favored against other Superconduct or Electrocharge variants, so I would have to give it the advantage to that deck, but I've actually not seen the deck below in action before.
Tuning Strategize for Shenhe skill, and Yaimiko's totems are going to trigger Superconnect on the Fischl there.
Yeah, and notably no Tubby. So one of the main differences in this matchup, Hua was able to draw Tubby in their game with Agent EC, but no Tubby from Dotia's side, which you really need to start accruing incremental advantage on your opponents. So
I mean, do you always run Tubby in that deck?
I believe so. You know, Tubby is one of the main, you know, being not a Resonance deck, Tubby is one of the main ways you gain dice advantage from like Sumeru City and then been drawing cards for Lulu Wharf. So it's one of the best Tubby decks, I think, right now.
You know, I think I see the benefit of bringing Vanessa's Rebellion here, because if you have Inazuma Res, you could.
Oh, that's
you
true.
Could just spam Vanessa's Rebellion if you have both of them.
Yeah.
And then use Inazuma Resonance, and then you have all the dice that you want.
That's a really cool combo. You know, I never thought about it. Inazuma Resonance also got a buff recently, as you might know, to go from switching to all dice of the active character to all Omni dice. So this is a very powerful combo.
Wait, so was there a send-off onto Shenhe's Burst?
Yeah.
It went by so fast.
Things went by really fast, but they did see a send-off on Shenhe's Burst, which is really going to cripple, I think, the game plan. It looks like this deck really wants to set up Ayaka with Shenhe's Burst to be able to do a lot of normal attacks for buff damage, but Shenhe went down at the end of turn to those summons, and her summon was dispelled, so this is going to be really tough.
Ooh, Calix's art into Adeptus Burst
Classic.
by Ayaka. No, I don't think Miko's gonna be able to do anything on her own.
No, this is very much. We'll have to see.
Oh, here we go. Vanessa's Rebellion. Wow, look at this.
I mean, it's probably the end for the Hua's deck, but it's gonna make a very flashy finish with Yae Miko
Wait,
there.
no.
Shit.
This might be winnable.
I don't think so. Yae Miko is not a good character to 1v1. You know, it's really hard to get that second energy, even if you're going to set up for that another burst. And even if you use your burst, it really wastes all of those charges on your summon.
Hash. So, I mean, I don't know. Because you just use burst again, and then before official moves, she's going to take electro damage. Because she's only 2 health. Like,
yeah, but
I don't know.
I mean, I think Dotia is going to go first, so if they have any food, or they could also switch over to official, and that will kind of cripple that game plan. So there's definitely, there's definitely ways that Dotia can get out of this very easily if he's going first. If he's going second, it could be a little bit trickier, but I think he is, yeah. So there we go, yeah, Hash is going to take him out of range of burst, and then the summon too, so.
Yeah, no more Inazuma Resonance, unfortunately.
No. Yeah, and this is definitely one of the pain points of using Yae. She's very bad at one vs one. You know, I think that send off early on really hurt the game plan of Hua's deck here. Not able to really make use of Ayaka, especially with that Agent Adeptus Burst.
Man, having to end is really tragic.
Yeah, having to waste all of those dice here.
Ah.
But for some reason it's like even closer than you might think. Although Yae is still going to need 2-3 more usages of her abilities to set up.
I think it's closer because, you only have so many dice to move, and Ocean needs to get her burst up. Like, she can't do any damage on her own, and yeah.
Here we go. Quick swap
But
burst
there you go.
is going to finish
that's all
it.
you need. GG.
Okay. Wait, we're really going through these matches at hyper speed. Oh my gosh.
We're speed running today.
Yeah, that was definitely, again, showcasing the power of the Agent Electrocharge deck. Send-off definitely being the key piece there. Being able to send off that Shenhe summon really demolished the entire game plan. You saw that Hua was trying to set up Shenhe with her burst, even, I think, choosing to sacrifice Shenhe in order to get her burst out as quickly as possible so that Ayaka could take over. But, that send-off really got in the way of that game plan and able to draw the right card at the right moment.
Yeah, I think the Calx art Adeptus Burst on Agent was probably the thing that actually won the game for Daltier.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of just closing the book on that. We've casted a lot of these high level tournaments. Calx's arts, Adeptus, and sometimes with Quick Swap is like such a flashy way that games end, and we've seen that so often here, especially these high level
and
ones.
we didn't see those cards. We have no idea what the other player has. Like we're just watching it from Hua's perspective. So also came as a surprise for us. It was very entertaining, but yeah.
Yeah. We get a little bit of foreshadowing of what's about to happen, be able to see the opponent's cards, but we're kind of getting to see what it's like to be one of these players at these high-level tournaments. I mean, obviously with these games being on replay, we don't get to see the thinking time, but obviously they're considering all of these different lines, like could my opponent have Adeptus here, and what that means here. But again, I think with that send-off, you're really not able to play around anything at that point. When you lose Shenhe, you can do your best to try and make the most of your cards and skills, but in the end it was kind of an uphill battle.
Yeah, for sure. So
yeah, so that evens the score.
It does even the score. We are 1-1, Hua versus Daltier. So we will have one more match to determine who is going to come out on top. And it looks like we are going into it now. Again, this is from Hua's perspective.
Yeah.
And I see Kujirai and Inazuma Resonance again. So I do think it's going to be that same deck.
Okay.
And we have a totally different deck up here for Daltier. Raiden, Shangli, Nahida, I think this is a pretty popular deck as well.
Yeah.
Though I don't normally see it with Raiden, I think.
No, it's. I mean, the Raiden build has especially been coming into favor recently. It's kind of a combo-oriented deck. You're really trying to get out the summons and then rush for Xiangling's burst, and then using Nahida's. I mean, Nahida herself just has so much value with her skill, and then use that and reactions to finish the game. So it'd be good to see, I think this is the first time we've seen this deck on stream. We kind of getting popular, you know, at the end of the last big tournament, coming into this new version. So really excited to see the players starting to pick it up. Ooh. Xiangling there having to use a basic attack. Normally you'd want to use a summon there, but obviously the dice not agreeing with Dotia.
I think Xiangling and Nahida are a pretty tried and true combo. I've just never personally seen the Raiden here. Also, I keep staring at the Superconduct deck at the bottom, and I feel like it's so unique. Like, I've never seen a Superconduct deck with these characters. I'm kind of wondering what the purpose of playing Ayaka here is.
I mean, Ayaka is definitely there as kind of the normal attack. You know, you want to use her normals after you deploy Shenhe's Burst. You know, Shenhe's Burst giving you that +1 buff makes Ayaka's attacks hit really hard.
Right, but with Yae Miko, do you really have enough electro application to make it work out okay? Like, I'm just wondering about that.
That's a really good question. I mean, we'll have to watch Hua kind of teach us how to play this deck. This is one of the things I really love about seeing these different regions play, is that a lot of the regions have their own smaller metagame. I think we're used to seeing a lot of the North America, EU players, and the decks that they favor, and yeah, this is definitely one that has not been on our radar. Things are looking pretty good, though, for Dotia. Still, not having that Gorba at the beginning is going to really hurt. You know, that's a lot of overload reactions missed out on, and could add up to like 4 or 5 damage not dealt for the rest of the game.
I think that was perfectly calculated by Hua, knowing that the overload is going to send Yae Miko into Shenhe. So now Hua can use Shenhe's burst and sacrifice Shenhe, who's just at 1 HP.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the plan here. We'll have to see if Dotia can send up. If there's a send off for that Shenhe burst, it could be. Ooh, but he's going to send off the totem.
So, I don't know if that was a great idea. Well, Dotia does go first. So.
Okay, that does deny the burst, and sending off the totem also, so that was playing around I haven't lost yet a burst from Yae Miko, but looks like she's still going to burst with that cryo and Adeptus.
Cryo res is going to take Nahida out. Unfortunately, you know, I think Hua was using Strategize earlier to try to find that Gamblers, and just has not been able to find it, so...
Oh man, and it's Raiden against the other two characters. Raiden's not the best character at finishing off opponents, but is going to at least have one burst deployed.
Yeah, I mean, Raiden's burst is out, but it's a forecast, so...
Yeah, it's going to be forecast, and we're going to see a Hash Brown here take Ayaka out of range, and this is going to make it really awkward for Raiden because her burst is going to leave Ayaka at 1.
Is it actually out of range though? Because doesn't Raiden have stacks on her?
Oh, that's true. Yep.
So
always forget about that.
She should be able to take. She should be able to take Ayaka out here.
Yeah. So.
But the thing is, if Raiden takes Ayaka out, I can't really take Yae Miko out very easily. I think.
No, I mean Yae. So the Lotus Crypt is going to help. So Yae is. Okay, but that I haven't lost yet burst is, I think, going to do it. Yeah, and this is why Raiden is not a great finishing character, is because her summon has that delayed damage. I think a normal attack here might have been better, but it looks like Dotia did not have the right dice, and that goes to Hua. Very close games.
Yeah, very close games. I feel like going for the skill there on Raiden was actually the wrong move, because like you said, like it doesn't have any electro application. You're trying to end the game in that turn and not you know, go on to the next turn or even end phase. So I think just normal from Raiden would have been fine.
Yeah,
because,
unfortunately,
though,
Yae
Miko already ate Lotus Crisps, so the first normal it's gonna take out the Lotus Crisps, then the next normal is gonna just remove, you know, take Yae Miko out for the win. So
yeah, unfortunately, it looked like that Dotia was 1 dice short. You know, after using Raiden's skills, only left on 2 dice, so not able to do 2 attacks anyway. So I think deploying the summon was fine. You know, it really wouldn't have mattered either way, and it really was because of that second I haven't lost yet. Obviously, I haven't lost yet did get a nerf recently. You can only use once, one every round, but because of the way the game played out, you know, Hua was able to deploy it kind of twice, right? The first I haven't lost yet also went to Yae, enabled her burst. Then in the next round after Ayaka went down, I haven't lost yet on Yae again. So maybe that's kind of the setup of the deck. You know, you have these two cryo characters who do a lot of early damage, and then you just rely on your opponents taking out your characters to enable that Yae burst, which does a huge amount of damage when it comes off.
No, I think that's a good point because, you know, Yaemiko doesn't often get her burst off.
Yeah.
But I mean, having that I haven't lost yet actually would guarantee that you're able to get it off even if you just, you know, only have one energy point on her. So like that's a really good point actually.
Yeah, and really unfortunate for Dotia there because definitely like early on, if you watch that replay game, wasn't able to get Guoba down in round one, having to normal attack on Xiangling. I think if he had the right dice, you know, obviously that's due to, you know, poor dice rolls. We couldn't see that obviously from our side, but, you know, willing to bet that he did not roll enough pyro dice. If he had got that off, I think that would have made the difference. And so, you know, really unfortunate for it to come down to dice rolls like that.
Yeah, for sure. And like, you know, when you're against a rainbow deck, you know already that your opponent is not going to have any wovens or any way to give yourself additional dice. So I mean, if Dajiro was sitting at that 2 dice, then I feel like Hua would be pretty comfortable with knowing that Dadiro's not going to be able to pull anything out and you know, use another move. So yeah, I think very well executed by Hua. Congratulations on advancing to the top 8. We will see you in Malaysia.
Yeah.
And for now, I think we're going to throw to the break. So we will see you guys soon.
Yeah.
back from the break, everyone, once again. My name is Leah.
And this is Blep. We saw a really cool match just now in that best of 3 with Hua versus Dotia. A really unusual deck. I'm really excited to see what Hua brings now to the top 8 after seeing that really unusual Ayaka Yae Shenhe build.
Yeah, and you know, we're about to get into Shinichi versus C. Crimlin, I believe. Do you expect any of these players are also going to bring some interesting decks that we haven't seen before, or do you think they're going to stay in the meta a bit more?
I mean, both. I mean, players who've been following the Cat's Tail Gathering for a little while should be familiar with both of these players. Shinichi and Zcrimlet both have appeared in the finals before, so hopefully, I mean, I'm expecting to see kind of more, I guess, standard or decks that we're used to because we know these players so well. These players also have played with and against each other before as well, so I'm expecting, more familiarity here.
In Asia Season 2, right? So Shinichi and Z-Crimlin faced each other.
They did. This is a grudge match.
Actually ended top 8 in Season 2 of Asia Cat's Gathering, and Z-Crimlin ended top 16. So I guess we have a preview about how this match could go, right?
Yeah, so Z-Crimlin here looking to get revenge after getting knocked out of Season 2 of Asia's Cat's Gathering by Shinichi there, who did not make it to the finals there, but did end up with a very respectable top 8 as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really looking forward to seeing this match. You know, Z-Crimlin has a very extensive tournament history. It has basically played in every Cat's Gathering, I think, including Alpha 1 and 2 back when we were just, starting out.
Yeah, very good results as well. You know, consistently making it to the knockouts. I think at once taking first, not in the Asia region, but coming over to the EU region and coming first in, I believe, Season 1 of that.
Yeah. So I guess we're about to get started.
Yeah.
And I think this is from Z-Crimlet's perspective, right?
I believe so. So we'll have to see. Okay. Very obvious what. Oh, okay.
Mondstadt Resonance. I see the Bell and Tenacity, the Millith, and oh no.
No, this is definitely the Ito deck versus a classic matchup. We were just talking about, watching a standard meta decks that was used to. This is a matchup that we're well familiar with. Two of the very top favorite decks between kind of the NAE regions.
Yeah, Shenhe SE is actually pretty good into Bin, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, you played it a lot during the Season 4 recently, right?
Yes, I beat Bin a couple of times.
A couple of times? Oh, okay. So,
but Bin is normally a pretty good stall deck into most fast-paced decks, but because of the piercing damage on Shenhe SD, it's able to kind of pierce through those shields a bit. Even if stacks like 10 million shields with the Bell and Tenacity, the Millith and Georez.
Yeah.
It normally works out okay. I really like, by the way, what is that? What is that Arcane Legend called?
Ancient Courtyard.
Yeah, Ancient Courtyard. I really like taking that in this deck.
Yeah, it's actually a bit of an unusual choice. A lot of the Barbara Ito Noel decks tend to favor the Covenant in order to get the combo turn, but this was a really good start from Z-Crimlet, able to equip both weapons at Ancient Courtyard. Shinichi must not be liking his position from here, because this is not the start that you want your opponent to have.
Yeah, that is honestly ideal for Bin. And we see 2 send-offs in Crimlet's hand.
That's gonna be brutal.
It's gonna be very brutal. We did see a different start to the Shenhe SC deck that I'm familiar with. Normally, you go Shenhe skill, Raiden skill into Shenhe skill as your first turn. But sometimes people will start Chongyu and then go to Raiden.
Yeah,
it's more of a traditional start, I guess, like an older start.
Yeah, it's kind of a typical start. I think one of the ways that start works is you kind of rush Chongyun's burst, and you really want Chongyun's burst to threaten Ito. Chongyun's burst deals the most damage for any single burst there. 8 damage is one of the skills that really is able to threaten Ito from any HP.
Ito's already, you know, 1 point off his burst. How many shields does he has? I can't see.
I think he only has the shields from the Tenacity there, so 2. So this should bring him back down to 1 shield after the Bell proc. But I mean, the only thing going for Shinichi here is that Z-Crimlet did end up wasting 2 dice at the end of the last round. Wow.
There's send off on a Raiden skill. That is really, really, really bad news for Shinichi.
Yeah, and you can see
there's another send-off too.
There is another send-off. I mean, I don't think Z-Crimlet would have used a send-off there if he didn't have a backup one. So I wonder if Shinichi is going to clue in on that, because it's a little bit unusual there, but making sure to send off after Raiden gets that second energy so that she can't easily get a second energy just from another summon.
I think Secret is trying to figure out what to tune here. Ooh, tuning Heavy Strike, that's interesting. But I mean, having Barbara's skill up is pretty crucial for Bid, so I guess the trade-offs are worth it.
Yeah, and really importantly, getting that summon off the field means that the cleanse here is going to remove all electro application from Barbara. Normally, because Shinichi would have ended first, if that right skill had come up, it would have reapplied the electro.
Oh, gets another one anyway. Okay, great. Great.
Yeah,
and we do see Chong Yoon is ready to go with full energy gamblers, so...
And really, the only way that Z-Kremlet is going to lose this matchup from here on out, based on that start, is going to be that Chong Yoon burst. So he's going to be very much making sure to avoid not only just the 8 damage burst, but has been thinking about things like Cryo Resonance, Adeptus, that can really bring that burst beyond the regular 8 damage.
I like this. Swap will do Noel, because you normally do run Leave It To Me Quick Swap in the Shana SC, so swapping the Ito could be a very bad decision. Yes. Potentially.
Oh, he's gonna go for it here. A quick swap here. Yeah. I mean, Ito's at 10 health, but a quick swap Cryo-Res Adeptus Burst, Cryo-Res Burst might be able to finish her, so a little bit of a risky play here. Shinichi is only at 4 dice, so he would need a Woven or an additional dice in order to make that play.
Shinichi is sitting on a ton of cards, so we could still see a quick swap, Cryo-Res, Woven, etc. But looks like we're gonna see Shana Burst instead, and we might see that send-off come into play, actually.
Yeah, almost 100% send-off coming into play here. I mean, one of the things is that Shinichi's dice also... Z-Kremlin's dice wasn't that great this round, so, you know, he's probably not going to be able to deploy any other skills other than that send-off, and then probably dropping Varnara end of turn.
Yeah, I think... Send off Vanarana end turn, and then the Cryo on Ito will be cleansed by Barbara's skill. It's like the perfect end for Z-Kremlet.
I mean, ending on Ito could be a little dangerous
it could
here.
Be. It
I mean,
could be.
He is going to get that refreshed tenacity at the start of next round, which will, I think, put him up to a healthier life total. I mean, those summons are going to come in. One of them is going to get sent off, but there's still going to be that Raiden proccing 1 Superconduct here.
Well, yeah. It'd be pretty bad, actually.
Yeah, Shinichi is going to end first. Really, what it comes down to is, can Shinichi draw a quick swap in order to threaten Ito appropriately? Because I think having access to quick swap on that Chongyun burst is one of the ways he's going to be able to win the game. But who we go?
The send-off is coming down for Shana Burst. That is tragic.
Oof. Yeah.
Looks like Barbara's gonna get the cleanse again. I think this is actually the safer play.
This is.
Because the Chongyun burst is super threatening.
Yeah, and you know, there's no real reason to cleanse that Cryo right now. Superconduct isn't that threatening of a reaction on Ito to begin with, so you really want to just make sure that he stays above kind of 10 health is kind of the breakpoint for that Chongyun if you expect Cryo Res, so you want to make sure Ito's above that.
Those are the wrong dice.
Well,
that's not very good.
I mean, at this point, with that send-off on the Shenhe skill, the Z-Kremlin has a few more turns to kind of build up, so we're probably gonna see a Barbara skill here just to rebuild, and as he's got a little bit more time to work with. And there's
I think Z-Kremlin has played this very, very, very well. Basically, Shinichi is working at a huge disadvantage because, you know, he had to cast Raiden, summon again, and then also, you know, Shenhe's Burst got sent off. So right now there's only Icy Quills, and it's just...
And you can see here Z-Kremlin hesitating whether or not he wants to swap to Ito, because he would be vulnerable to a quick swap, so choosing instead to go to Noel. But very unfortunate for Shinichi.
You know, when you're playing Bin, the goal is to stall out your opponent. And so swap stalling is like the best thing you can do in the situation when Chongyun's burst is super threatening, because like you will get your time to shine. You're building up all these resources for your team. Z-Kremlin does have 2 Geo-Res in hand, which is gonna huge.
It's gonna be huge. He has to find an opportunity to deploy that. Unfortunately, his dice. So the one thing that Shinichi does have going is that Z-Kremlin has rolled pretty poor dice for the last 2 rounds, and hasn't been able to really make use of Ito skills. So yeah, having to even waste an extra dice here, not able to do it, but gonna cleanse pretty well. Ooh,
Woven, and I haven't lost yet.
Yeah, so both sides are going to go into this round with a lot of die, with the Liyue Resonance here from the Shenhe Superconduct side, and the double Vanarara from the Bin side.
Yeah, but the double Vanarana dice are like look at those dice for Zucrimlet. That is tragic.
It is really bad. I mean, I
Look
think
at this.
he kind of deserves it for, you know, when you get both equipment plus Ancient Courtyard in the first round, that's like the perfect start for Bin. Like, in order to come back from that, you really deserve to have a little bit of worse dice here.
Imagine being Shinichi. You see your opponent has 12 dice. But playing Geores, like you know your opponent doesn't have 0 dice. Wait,
Yeah, but
I was
unfortunately,
gonna say like you think your opponent could do so much with that dice. And then,
yeah.
I don't know. If you see someone with 12 dice using Geores, Woven, you kind of know their dice is not great.
Yeah, interesting that Zucrimlet did choose to use Breastplate at that round and not something else, because that did use up all of their Geo dice for the round, which really makes it difficult for them to do anything else.
I feel like going for a normal would have been better. Like you really don't want to tune either of those Geores cards.
Yeah, we're probably going to see swap to Barbara. There might be a Barbara Burst on the horizon here. You know, interestingly enough...
There's no point using Barbara Burst. It's at full HP.
Oh, they'll be low pretty soon with some of the summons coming out here, so we'll have to see. But yeah, maybe just some Barbara.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What are you gonna do with those dice?
Ooh, here's a quick... Oh, here we go. Okay.
I don't know if I like this.
Yeah, I mean, Barbara
This is
Burst
exactly
is not the
what
most
Zcrimlet's
threatening.
waiting for, right?
Oh, using a cry. Okay, so not actually using the burst, just using the skill here is going to be able to do it.
Ooh. And Gamblers will give Shinichi another... I don't know.
But this is kind of the opening, I think, that Zucrimlet was waiting for. You know, having your opponent expend a bunch of resources. Yeah, Shinichi is going to be forced to swap off of Chongyun here. But having...
Yeah, too many shields.
Using up that quick swap was pretty difficult. I mean, you really need to save that in order to kind of surprise Ito here, but... Yeah, now able to end first.
It really depends on how you build your Shanna SE, but I don't know if you always take 2 copies of Leave It To Me. That might have been the only quick swap in Shinichi's deck. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah,
we don't see the deck list here, of course, but if that was the only quick swap effect, Chong's going to have a really hard time. Although, having said that, if Ito does finish off any of the other characters, it will give Chongyun a free swap to use his burst. So we'll probably see Zucrimlet swap stall quite a bit in the next round.
With Leave-In!
A little bit late.
Just a little bit.
You want to try Leave-In into
Just a
double
little bit.
Vanarana? You need to save, what, 7 dice at the end of your round? It's asking a lot.
I mean, when they're all as bad as they were last year, like, look at this, there's 4 cryo. Like, those cryos should be going to Shinichi. Ushi, Geores, oh no, that does really not matter if you go to Chongyun first. Like, you have to have, like... No.
Yeah, you'd have to have something like Lotus Crisp, I think would have protected Chongyun, but even then, I don't think there's enough to chew through all of that. I'm not sure if I like...
No, this is what I thought would happen when they swapped to Raiden. I have Enlacia and the Raiden Burst. Like, obviously Chongyun is already at full energy, but it kind of chunks through Ito's shield and forces Zucrimlet to swap off of Ito because Chongyun's burst is still threatening. You don't really know if they have a quick swap or not. So you can't just like... I mean, even if you take out Raiden with Ito, it's like...
Yeah, but it also doesn't matter. I think
have Chongyun burst.
I think the HP advantage is kind of overwhelming here. Zucrimlet very happy to have Noelle out on the field just as a sacrificial character here at this point.
Might as well just use the cryo dice. Yeah, exactly. To equip it on the Noelle. Yeah, there you go. Why not? Why not, right?
Yeah, if Noelle goes down, it's not a huge deal. You're not going to really be using that cryo dice anyway, and Ito there sitting comfy. I mean, his burst is going to run out next round, but he doesn't even need it with how many stacks he has.
Also, I think it's perfect ending on Noelle here because, you know, that Shenhe burst is going to run out this turn. It's not going to cause any superconductor reactions. It's just going to go on Noelle, who already has cryo applied on her.
And this is kind of one of the powers of the Barbara Ito Noelle deck, is that sometimes you can just stay on Noelle and use her burst and chew through your opponents just as easily as Ito. And that's probably going to see from Zucrimlet here, just going to choose to stay on Noelle, use her burst to finish the game, and not even need to go back to Ito.
And you know the good thing about bringing Noelle in Bin is that like if you get Tenacity the Millilith and Bell, you can also equip it on Noelle. I think it's great.
Yeah,
There's 3 animal dice there. What are you gonna do with them?
that's true. I mean, Bell's not even going to be needed here.
Yeah, it's just over.
I mean, you probably just want to save it to tune for normal attacks now for Noelle at this point, because as long as Noelle can attack twice, then yeah, it's pretty much game over. Chongyu's burst.
Wait, go on.
Oh, I'm gonna say Chongyu's burst may not be even enough to go through Noelle, but there is an Adeptus here. But not gonna matter.
I think this will be enough to take out Noelle, but it's not gonna be enough for Chongyu to win the game, because we are gonna see Ito just, you know, lightly punching Chongyu. And that is enough for Bin to win. Congratulations to Z Crimlet for taking game 1.
Yeah, really solid play there. I mean, Shinichi was definitely fighting from the back foot from the very beginning. You know, the strongest opening that the Ito Bin deck can have is that double equipment with Ancient Courtyard. It's such a powerful effect. If you happen to draw the right card, it's really hard to draw it. It doesn't happen very often, but what it does is just, it's almost guaranteed loss for the other side.
Yeah, because I mean, the whole goal of that deck is to stall your opponent until you have Ito equipped, and just top decking it all with Ancient Courtyard just guarantees that, you know, Ito is set for life. You know, we even saw like the opportunity to put the bell on Noelle. Really didn't need it.
Didn't need it.
There.
Yeah.
Also, the 2 send-offs is so crucial.
Yeah, I mean,
I
think if you're Shinichi watching back over that game, you kind of just have to shrug your shoulders and be like, there's really nothing you can do from that spot. Like, I think even the best draws from the Superconduct deck aren't enough to beat that draw from the Ito deck. It's just too much value to kind of overcome from the early stages.
Yeah, you know, part of the luck is getting the dice. Z Crimlet didn't have great dice, so we had some stalling there. Part of the luck is getting great cards, and I think it was the cards in Z Crimlet's case that won him that game, because, you know, just the combination with the send-off and also, you know, getting Ito equipped just like that, it was just... And both Geo res. Both Geo res.
Yes. I mean, yeah, I think Z Crimlet basically drew every good card he had in the matchup, and even with it was able to overcome the bad dice rolls, essentially. Yeah.
Looks like we're going into game 2 now, so I am wondering if we're going to see Bin again.
Well, I believe Z Crimlet, because he won, isn't going to be able to use Bin, so he'll have to switch decks. Although definitely an option for Shinichi to bring his own Bin. Like I said, a lot of these players have very similar ideas about it's a mirror match.
It's literally a mirror matchup. Look, the characters are in the same spot.
I mean, usually the interesting thing about mirror matches is that there's like a it tends to play very differently from any other matchup, and a lot of players have agreed on like oh wow, look at those dice.
Oh, look at those dice in a woven. It is over. It's over. I'm sorry.
Z Crimlet high rolling the heck out of Shinichi here. Wow.
We can't see Shinichi's side, so we
don't
know how good his dice are. Oh, the tuning. Oh no.
It can't be. Yeah,
no.
It is not better. Oh no. It's really bad here for Shinichi. Having to expend 2 cards just to get that rated summon out here is not what it wants. Thankfully, he does have a Sealy, and Z Crimlet doesn't have any card draw on his side.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
I guess Z Crimlet's gonna go straight for Ride and Burst, which, you know, I don't see this too often, especially with those dice rolls. I would have personally swapped the Shunna and used skill, but,
yeah, but
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't know how to play this mirror matchup. It looks like I mean, it really probably depends on your dice here. With Z Crimlet rolling so well, able to kind of just do whatever line that he wants here, and going to choose to rush that burst out.
You're still 1 energy point off for Chongyun's burst. So, not great dice rolls.
About time.
See, normally, there's like 2 different starts you could do. Normally. One is Raiden skill into Shunha skill, and then ideally... Oh, wait. Is this Adeptus?
That was Adeptus.
Burst?
So, I believe, now we kind of see why Z Crimlet took that line, you know, choosing to rush Raiden's burst because he had that Adeptus in hand and knew probably from the opposing side that their natural play would be to go into Shenhe, perfectly executing her at 7 health.
Yeah, and, you know, Z Crimlet does have a Woven in hand, so we're gonna see a swap to Shenhe and probably Woven Burst. That is brutal.
Yeah, again, Z Crimlet drawing almost the perfect cards he could in this matchup, along with very good dice rolls. Shinichi just had a really tough time in both matchups here against the deck. Yeah, that Woven. I mean,
So it's a pretty good start for Z Crimlet, yeah.
I don't want to call it early, but that's a really hard start to overcome. Especially with a send-off as well. Like, there's no Electro application at the end of turn 4 Shinichi, whereas Z Crimlet's going to be able to get a trigger right at the end.
Yeah, I don't know if either of these players are bringing Liu Su. We haven't seen them yet, but you know, that is a card that can definitely change how you start your opening with this deck. Because you can get 1 point towards Chongyun or Shanna's Burst, and then, you know, either use Raiden's Burst for double energy, or, you know, to get Chongyun's Burst up, or, you know, swap to Shanna, have 1 energy point already, use her skill, then her Burst, and it's really strong that way too.
I mean, one of the great things about this deck, and why, for those of you at home, if you want to try a very I wouldn't say straightforward, but very easy to execute deck here, I mean, there's a lot of lines that you can take that are very effective. It's just so good at putting out damage in many different ways, and you can run a lot of different cards as well.
Yeah, and we see Shanna's skill coming out. No Lotus going down. I think Z Crimlet wants Shanna to fall here, just wants the Icy Quills up. They'll buff Chongyun's cryo damage because of that I haven't lost yet, so...
Yeah, guess I haven't lost yet. I mean, Chongyun's also ready to burst on his head. I mean, the main thing he needs to do is protect his own Chongyun and let his Chongyun burst before the opposing one. So if Shinichi,
this is GG.
Yeah, if Shinichi goes for the kill here on Shenhe, which I think you kind of have to,
you have to.
Your time is running out because of those summons. It's gonna perfectly line him up for that I haven't lost yet.
Yeah, basically everything is going according to plan for Z Crimlet, because Shanna will fall here. You'll see Chongyun come out, and I haven't lost yet burst.
Yeah, you know, Shinichi definitely, I would say, thought about, you know, the possibility of this line, but he has no opportunity to play around it. You know, he kind of has to hope his opponent doesn't have the right cards, because he's just so hard to overcome that start. Wow.
I think that is 2-0 for Z Crimlet.
That is, yeah.
Congratulations. So we will be seeing Z Crimlet in Malaysia. Congratulations.
And definitely hats off to Shinichi for hanging in there. Like, in both games, he was on the back foot straight from the beginning, just based on the dice rolls, the card draw, and all of that. You know, not a great position to be in. It's really tough in these high stakes matches when things just don't go your way, and I think that's what we saw there. You know, there's nothing wrong that Shinichi necessarily did, just the luck didn't favor him.
Yeah, especially, you know, in that first game, I think it's just really unfortunate. I mean, Z Crimlet had some bad dice rolls, but the card draw was just too good. I think, you know, those send-offs really made up for the bad dice, I think. And then, you know, of course, in the second game, everything went according to plan for Z Crimlet. Just amazing dice rolls right off the bat. Yeah.
Send-off definitely one of the really good card against the Shenhe Superconductor deck. They're really relying on that Shenhe burst to be able to efficiently get more damage out. And a lot of their game plan is around building up to that burst. If you can send it off right away, it really kind of puts us the brakes on the damage that they can do. And Z Crimlet even being able to draw, you know, his own send-off in that mirror match, really crucial.
Yeah, you know, that I haven't lost yet into Chongyun Burst was also really brutal. Like, I mean, just always had the right amount of dice going into these moves. Like, just very calculated.
Very calculated. Yeah.
But yeah.
But congratulations to Z Crimlet, yeah. Continue
I think we will be, you know, we will be throwing to the break once again. We will catch you guys soon for our next best of 3 in the closed qualifiers. and welcome back, everyone. This is the Prince Cup Southeast Asia, Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan closed qualifiers. Once again, my name is Leah.
And this is Blep. Happy to be back. We're at the halfway point, I think, now, after watching a very one-sided best of three.
Yeah, C. Crimlet, high rolled. Both the cards and the dice in that second game especially. That was something to watch for sure. Poor Shinichi.
Yeah, poor Shinichi, but definitely well played by Z Crimlet as well, and really hyped to be jumping into our next match pretty shortly.
Yes, and so I think coming up will be Arc versus L. To my knowledge, L is a newcomer. Meanwhile, Arc has been playing since the Alpha in the Cattails Gathering, even playing in the very first Alpha, making it top 8 Asia. So it'll be very interesting to see how these two players go up against each other, right?
Yeah. I mean, Arc hasn't had a top finish yet, so I'm sure is very much gunning for this top 8 position here. So, but yeah, L, relatively newcomer. I mean, maybe they have some tournament results outside of the Cattail Gathering, but at the very least they haven't participated much previously in the Cattail Gathering tournaments before. So, bit of a wild card. It's really exciting to see these new players come in because, like Hua that we saw, in the first match, they can bring some really interesting decks. I think a lot of the we've casted for top 8s for a lot of these Cattail Gatherings, and a lot of the top 8 players do play against and with each other, so they tend to have very similar deck choices. We saw in the last match, of course, Z Crimlet, Shinichi both favoring, Shenhe Superconduct as one of the top tier decks right now. So, fingers crossed that we see something really exciting out of L.
Yeah, it'd be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I feel like Arc might take some meta decks just considering his experience all these tournaments. It's fun to bring experimental decks, but the tried and true meta decks that have high win rates and are known to do well across tournaments, that's what we typically see with these competitive tournaments. So right away we are getting into game 1 here.
And consistency is definitely very key in these high level things because you want to minimize any randomness that you can, and playing a deck that you know how to play with and against. And here we go.
Oh, so Shenhe Superconnect versus NEC and Nahida Electrocharge with Mona, I think it was.
Yep. That variant's really taken off recently. Oceanid being the typical choice for that slot, but Mona adds 2 things. One is Mondstadt resonance, and 2 is just a little bit more flexibility in how you can swap and use skills.
Well, Arc has the perfect dice rolls right now. I think we're going to see a swap to Shenhe's skill.
Yeah.
No reason to use Wyvern when you have 3 Omni, 1 Cryo.
Yeah. So
as for NEC, we'll probably see swap to Mona.
Yes, swapping to Mona. Unfortunately, though, because of the turn ordering here, not going to be able to get that Electro Charge off of right away. Usually that's what you want to do, but sometimes, depending on when you go first or second, the reactions don't line up the same way.
Yeah, I think in this case, it's pretty important to go for Icy Quills and then try to get Shenhe Burst off in the next round. When you have this opener, this is the opener I'm the most familiar with Shenhe SC.
Yep, definitely. We'll see here. L able to get that last dice, thankfully, on Baranara, but both sides off to a pretty reasonable start. L did have to use a Bestest Travel Companion, so obviously the dice there not favoring them as much.
Yeah, that's the downside of taking Rainbow deck, you have Electro, Hydro, and Dendro here. Normally you would take something like Rana in a deck like this, or a lot of other dice fixers like Toss Up or Bestest. Because you don't have Woven.
You don't, yeah. I mean, we've seen these 3 element decks really take off, especially in the latest version. The people have started figuring out how to build them, and we've got a lot of tools now for those decks to kind of make up for losing the Woven and Resonance effects. And you can see just how powerful the damage is coming out of the Electrocharge deck, or putting the opposing side really low just from 2 summons there.
You see a Hash Brown and Nimona, which is interesting. Refresh of her skill, which makes sense. We should see a swap to Nahida, though.
Yeah, this is the typical start for the deck. You start Fischl, you use skill, go to Mona, skill on her twice. Ideally, though, you would have had maybe an artifact or something to reduce the cost of the dice there. So L not off to the optimal start for the deck, but definitely a swap to Nahida usually comes next.
Yeah, I think it's the Hash Brown that makes the dice a bit different here. Because you can't really use Nahida's 5 cost unless you have changing shifts.
Yeah, my guess is the dice probably didn't roll, in the L's favor anyway in order to enable that 5 cost skill, so we'll have to see.
Could definitely be true. I think Ark is trying to figure out what he wants to do. We should see Shana Burst come out.
We should, yeah. So it's a matter of, he does need to tune one card and does decide whether he wants to drop Sealy or do something else with that dice. But looks like he's going to play it.
Liben? Hovering over Liben, really?
Could be tuning Liben here.
Well, here's Bestus. Really?
We're probably going to see a swap off of Shenhe at the very end, or a Lotus Crypt at the end of the round, just to soak up a bit of damage here. But yeah, trying to save... I mean, Liben is tricky to work around when getting to this stage of the game, because having to save 3 dice can really make the difference between winning or losing.
Yeah, both of these decks are pretty fast, so I think that makes sense. You don't really need to use Liben in that case. Oof.
So the 3-cost here is going to actually be very good for Ark here to end on Shenhe. I wonder if it's going to try and soak up that Hydro application by Lotusing here. If you Lotus here, you do soak up 3 damage from Oz from that core, but honestly, Shenhe going down here, yeah, is pretty reasonable.
I mean, Shenhe going down is fine if you have Icy Cools and Shenhe Burst out. Like, that is ideally what you want to happen. Like, you're fine to sacrifice her as long as your opponent doesn't have send-off.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one thing. But I mean, otherwise, if your opponent doesn't have send-off, then, Chongyun is fine to take over.
Yeah, looks like Ark's going to decide who he wants to end on. Whether he soaks up that Hydro and is going to choose to end on Raiden. Interesting that I didn't use his last dice there to Lotus Crypt Raven just to soak up that extra damage. I mean, you have so much food in your hand that I would have liked to at least use up all your dice and make use of a Lotus Crypt when you can.
I agree. I would have Lotus Shenhe actually, because then everything would have went onto her. I guess Ark maybe didn't want.
So I think that
Raiden to have Electro on her anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, having. I mean, a lot of the tricky part about fighting a rainbow deck is, any aura they can pretty much use to trigger a reaction on you. And so, ooh, here we go. And not often you see that, but that normal attack physical damage getting buffed as well by Shenhe's Burst. Yeah, and that extra damage coming from Shenhe Burst, not something you see often. Usually you use it to buff Cryo, but it does actually buff physical damage as well.
Yes.
So able to snipe off Nahida there.
Both Cryo and physical damage, so 3, the +2 from Cryo Res. Perfect. And then we'll probably see Raiden first, right?
Yeah, the burst is actually going to finish off Mona before she can burst, so really tough spot for L, not being able to burst on any of her characters, where Ark was able to completely execute his game plan. Or we're going to see him tune... Surely you can tune an Adeptus here, you're not going to need 2 of them.
I would personally tune Adeptus, because you're not going to use it this time, and Chongyun is not going to get his burst off again. Might also see Woven Lotus? Toss-up!
Oh, interesting.
Huh?
Not really sure what this is meant to be for.
What's going on?
My only guess is he's going to use... No, if he used that Cryo... Yeah, I'm really not sure. I guess he's maybe not planning to burst our Rider just yet and gonna go to Chongyun.
I guess so.
Maybe we just saw a toss-up to stall for time and just leave him with more thinking time. Yeah, very weird line there.
I'm confused. But, I think it's gonna work out the way we thought it would. Mona will fall here to Raiden.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. The Superconduct deck already at an overwhelming advantage, having taken out Nahida really early and not letting the opponent utilize burst. Oh, I see. It was to not overdraw, potentially. Maybe slightly miscounting there. It looks like he had at least 1 more card buffer, so that toss-up didn't need to be used, but I think Ark's hand is so perfect anyway. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Raiden is going to go down at end of turn, I believe, to summons, provided that Fischl can deploy Oz, but, when it's Chongyun versus Fischl, I think the overwhelming advantage definitely does go to Chongyun.
I think we're going to see a changing shift swap to Chongyun now. It looks like that's what Ark wants to do, considering he's hovering over it. I mean, no, I'm just gonna play Live and pass. That makes sense too, because he's sitting at 9 cards. Otherwise, he would overdraw.
Would be overdraw. Yeah, the only line you can think of is Woven into a Lotus on Raiden just to soak up that range. But I think with the way it's gonna work out end of turn, it doesn't matter whether Raiden goes down here.
Yeah, I think Chongyun just ends it. Especially since Arc's ending first. Like, there's really nothing you can do.
So the summons will finish off writing here, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that Lotus not being used very well, only able to take up one damage, and then that Shenhe summon is really brutal.
And this is exactly what Arc wants, because now Arc doesn't have to manually, like, full swap to Chongyun.
Yeah, and Arc going first here is going to finish the game here. There's really nothing that El can do from this spot. You know, Chongyun not only has Shenhe Icy Coils, but that Cryo Resonance would have not mattered anyway.
And also,
as long as
Arc
he rolls
goes first. Arc goes first. I mean, even if he doesn't roll the dice, he has like 10 million cards too, so...
Yeah, I definitely, you know, the Superconduct deck, both decks are very strong, but I think L didn't draw quite as well. Usually with that Electro Charge deck with Mona and Nahida, you want to get some artifacts in order to reduce Mona's skill cost down and really get there on kind of efficiency of the Electro Charge reaction. But, you know, having to use Bestis at the beginning, obviously not rolling very well good dice. We couldn't see it, but obviously true, it really hurt the game plan early on. And with both decks being so fast, that early first turn and how well your dice rolls goes and the cards you draw get pretty critical.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, we're just seeing a showcase of why Shenhe SC is so popular and strong, right? Both to see Kremlin and Arc playing it now and winning very well with it. That's the downside to bringing a rainbow deck like NEC, because you really don't have... You need to bring more dice fixers, or else you're just going to be tuning important cards the whole time. So yeah, very well done by Arc.
Yeah, taking the first game there. We'll have to see what decks are chosen in the second one. Obviously, you can't bring the same deck that you already won with, so we'll probably see something different on the other side. And yeah, we'll have to see what the next matchup brings. But, you know, it was a very, I think, close matchup there. You could have really gone either way, and it came down to the dice rolls on the cards.
Definitely. So here we are going into game 2. And I see, whoa, okay. Okay.
I really like seeing those. So those 2 cost artifacts have really started taking off there. I think players have started to catch on to how efficient they'd be. So it could be, yeah, that's...
NEC! This is a reverse Uno card on both sides, like...
This is a reverse, yeah. But Arc did draw one of the artifacts. You know, having those 2 cost artifacts is really kind of critical to how the Electro Charge deck with Mona plays, because it allows you to reduce a lot of your costs down and makes it really efficient to... Oh wow, look at those dice rolls.
Oh my gosh, high rolling. So, I guess we'll see who's favored to win this match, because it's not always down to the decks, but also how the players play the decks, and also the luck of the draw and the dice. There's many factors that go into determining who's going to win. Right now, Arc seems to be at an advantage, but we don't know what L has in hand.
Yeah, L did already have to tune 1 for that writing skill there, so hopefully not needing to tune anymore for what should be... We probably will see the same opening that Arc used, going over to Shenhe, and then Arc is going to really deploy the same play that L did in the last game. Yeah,
this is pretty standard opening for, you know, both of these decks. Raiden skill into Shenhe skill. Oh, Wolven coming out for Shenhe skill in tune. The dice are painful.
Yeah, L they're obviously having a lot worse dice once again, and we've seen this so many times in kind of the last couple of matches too, where one side has just been not favored in the dice rolls.
Ooh, the send-off on Official Summon is going to be huge, though.
That's actually really strong, yeah. And we're gonna, we're actually gonna...
swapping back to Official. Ooh.
Playing a little fast there.
I think I like that, actually. I think I like that.
Yeah, I mean, this deck isn't the best at utilizing Covenant, so any window that you can use Covenant of the Rock for that extra 2 dice to do something is going to be good enough.
Yeah,
but having to...
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think normally you would Covenant into Vanarana.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that Covenant can combo with. Vanarana is obviously a very strong one, but, you know, that's part of the reason those 2 cost artifacts are so good, is that they are another way to use Covenant.
Not great dice rolls for Arc, but I mean, 2 dice fixtures in hand should be fine. I do see a normal attack coming out from Shenhe to get her burst up.
Yeah, obviously, again, not the best dice probably is what that signals. You know, not able to use a skill into a burst, which is what you ideally want.
Cryo Incarnate!
But at least not having to tune for that burst is gonna put the Shenhe burst down. No send off in Ark's hand.
No send off, thankfully. It's brutal. Are we gonna see a swap to Nahida? I wonder.
Yeah, this is tricky. I mean, that send off from L side really messed up kind of the ideal rotation for the Electro Charge deck. So it's going to be a little bit awkward now playing from here on out. You definitely want to go to Nahida at some point because she does have that artifact and you want to make use of it as much as possible.
Yeah, it looks like Ark's hovering over Bestis, so we might just see Bestis into 3-cost skill and then maybe strategize or something, I'm not sure.
Well, he can use the 5-cost because of that Dendro.
Oh, true.
Yeah, so that's the plan here.
You know,
So that
a lot of the time I see people taking Rana, but I think this is a good alternative as well.
I mean, Rana's probably in the deck, but it's just you don't draw it. You know, with only 2 cards in your deck, it's very rare to draw it every single game. And so one of the ways that the Electrocharge deck gets around that is it runs things like Rana, it runs the 2-cost, sometimes Dendro and Hydro artifacts, and the more of those effects you stack, the more chance you're guaranteed to be draw it one of those things throughout the game.
Raiden's at 1 HP.
1 HP is really awkward though to get around, so it's actually a good...
Yeah, it's good for L, right?
Yeah, assuming that L stays. If L ever switches off of Raiden though, that Nahida Seed is going to take Raiden out, so we'll have to see what her play is from here.
I feel like a normal attack on Raiden would
first.
make sense.
It would, but then that puts your opponent in a pretty good position. Oh, okay, it's going to be a quick swap. So you do have to trigger a reaction for that Seeds to proc. So if L can play around a reaction before swapping back to Raiden, this is probably optimal.
To Gambler's Refresh. Gambler's is so satisfying.
When you're the one equipping it, yeah. But on the other side of it, it feels pretty bad.
Oh.
Okay.
So take the 2 costs for Mona as well.
Yeah, and we saw another one of those artifacts. Pretty late to be equipping it now. You want to make sure... So one of the reasons the deck runs so many of those is you want to play one of them during the first round, because if you play it during the first round, that's how you can get enough dice to not only recoup the cost, but sometimes generate additional dice. So not going to be able to... We're very likely not going to see the Hydro artifact equipped at this point in time.
I think we might actually see changing shifts into official Calx Burst.
Yeah, definitely an option. That will finish off Raiden, but it is going to leave official exposed here. That
Unfortunately,
might
no
be the best
Gamblers
play.
for Arc.
In the name of the Prinzessin.
Definitely be nice. So official's going to be put out a decent amount of damage here.
Wait,
but-
Adeptus!
yeah.
Adeptus!
You might need to, yeah. That's going to use up your entire turn though, so we'll have to see. I think Shenhe and might be enough to finish, but maybe not.
No, I think this is fine.
I mean, this is definitely what you need to do. You know, I think what Ark is trying to figure out, does he want to use that Hash Brown? He does have 1 extra dice remaining, so he could choose to Hash Brown Fischl here, depending on if that's going to keep him alive.
Because Fischl just ate Adeptus, so Hash Brown would have to
Oh,
go on
yeah.
Mona. So, I mean, that's
Yeah.
something that Ark could do after bursting. I think
Definitely.
Ark is just already
Nope,
going
gonna
to be
use it
using it.
first.
Yeah. Wondering what order to do things in.
So it is important to think about these things, because sometimes putting food early can be important, especially if your opponent has Mondstadt Resonance. But obviously with the deck on the other side here not having Mondstadt, not something you have to worry about.
Fischl's first gonna take up both Chongyun and Raiden, leaving Shenhe only 3 health. Oh my gosh. We know the Hash Brown is gonna go on to Mona.
Yeah, I mean, L does have 6 more dice to work with, and L is going to survive that Fischl Summer end of turn, so the game, I don't think is actually over yet. Can L finish the turn?
Yeah, I think I have to do math. TCG players know how to count really well.
I believe if there's enough and you can tune 3 into skill, which should do 4 damage. Yeah, that's going to be enough, actually. Oh, that was 4.
3.
Oh, the Icy Quills are not actually up. That's a Chongyun Frostlayer field, so that might actually make the difference. But no, this should be 3 and 2, which is 5, right? I can add.
No, it should be 3.
No, it's 2 and 2.
Shouldn't this be
Oh, no,
3?
Icy Quills.
Oh, no, it's 2.
No, Icy Quills doesn't actually buff
doesn't
summons.
affect summons. Oh my gosh, I always forget. I always
Calculated.
forget.
that hash brown coming in clutch, that made the difference between there. But Ark is going to be able to go first and finish off Shenhe in a very
Making us do
close.
math as casters? Why? Okay, well,
There you
GG.
go.
What a close game.
Yeah, exactly the right amount of cards. Very well played there.
Is that 2-0
Wow.
for Ark?
Yeah, I think that's a 2-0. Yeah.
Congratulations! that game was really fun to watch. I have to say, I was like on the edge of my seat at the end there. It was really hard to see, especially since we can't see the cards and the dice for L. It's really hard to anticipate when something is going to happen, because L could have like anything in hand to turn the tide to the game, and
Yeah. I mean, it came down to 1 damage, and if you look back over the replay, there was one point where L did have to use a normal attack to build up that second Shenhe energy instead of Icy Quills, and which is a difference of 1 damage. So that really not having the right dice there at the critical moment probably decided the game here, and Ark able to have the right dice count to have that hash brown at the very end also made the difference that had he not drawn a Dendro artifact or another dice cost reduction skill, he wouldn't have had that extra dice to use.
Yeah, honestly, that Dendro artifact on Nahia worked perfectly for the dice that he had in hand. So I mean, really well played from both sides. Congratulations again to Ark. We will be seeing you in Malaysia, and for now we are going to throw to the break one more time until our last best of 3, so stay tuned. And welcome back, everyone, to the Prince Cup Southeast Asia, Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan closed qualifiers. Once again, my name is Leah.
And this is Blep, and what an amazing last match that we just saw.
Oh yeah, that last match was so fun to watch. It was really hard to do the math at the end. I totally forgot that Icy Quills did not affect summons, so it was 1 damage off taking out Mana, and Arc was able to get that win, so...
Yeah, it was really 1 damage off from both sides. You know, if Shen had been 1 HP higher, it would have gone to L. You know, if L also was able to get 1 more damage sometime throughout the game, it also would have gone in their favor. So really close matchup there, really well played from both sides.
Yes, and right now we are about to go into our final best of 3 of these closed qualifiers to determine the top 8 players that will be heading to Malaysia very soon. And so we will be having Ian Radhan versus Dada Dabao. Both of these players... No, actually, I think Ian Radhan is a newcomer, and Dada Dabao has played in Cattail's Gathering before, getting 3rd place in Season 2, and then top 16 in Season 4, so...
Yeah, in Season 4, not sure to see the final placement's not yet decided, but, you know, able to make it there in Season 4. So definitely have seen this player before quite a lot, so someone we're familiar with. Yes.
So, it'll be very exciting to see how these matches go. And we'll have to see what decks these players brought. Of course, if you're tuning in for the first time, we're going to be watching one player's perspective, and we don't know the decks going into these matches, but I do see Gendro Res right off the bat, so
Gendro Res.
Quicken?
Probably Quicken. It's one of the only decks right now that are using Dendro Resonance, but yeah.
There it is, yep. Send your Quicken deck into NEC. Nahida Electrocharge.
And we saw this doc already in the previous best of 3 quite a lot. Both sides, both players using that in one of their matches, winning 1 and losing 1 at the same time.
This is the first time we've seen Quicken today. You know, I just remembered something. So this variant of NEC, I think the players have been calling it MNEC, which, you know, the M stands for Mona, but it's so funny because I feel like we're coming full circle to MMEC.
Yeah, I mean, players have, ever since kind of the Electrocharge has been figured out as such an efficient reactions, you know, it's really become one of the most competitive kind of decks out there in various formats. I mean, Fischl is definitely a mainstay, but, you know, you see variants with Yae as well and Raiden all able to kind of make use of Electro summons and efficient reactions.
Yeah, also, I'm just looking at Ian Radhan's hand and dice. Those dice are not great. You do want to get Yae's skill out at least. Looks like Treasure Seeking Celia is going to come down, but I think they're going to have to tune 1, and we'll probably see Yae's skill into Leiden.
We might need to, yeah. I mean, there may be something there with Covenant, but Covenant Liben is always an awkward one, because if you have enough dice for Liben, you can't actually ever use Covenant, and then if you do use Covenant, it only ever gives you 2 dice onto Liben. Although, with that Woven, we might actually see something. I mean, it's not out of this world to see a Nahida basic attack into Covenant Woven Liben there.
Yeah, I mean, that could be an option. I feel like we might just see a swap to get off of, you know, Yae, who has the Electro application on her.
Definitely.
We'll have to see. Definitely think there will be a Liben.
Yeah, and that swap there, of course, you know, one of the best starts out of the Mona version is if you let them start with Fischl and then use Mona's skill immediately on the character that has the Electro. That just puts out so much damage on the primary character, and is one of the quickest starts, so avoiding that is very important.
Yeah, we do see just Liben pass on Ian Radhan's side, you know, lots of card draw and ramp.
Yeah, really just trying to make the use of a bad dice roll opener. Dabao is able to set down Rana. I know you mentioned in previous game how this deck does use Rana as well, and we finally see her out in this match.
There she is. So I mean, Rana will generate, upon using a skill with your active character, it will generate 1 dice for the next character in line. So I mean, actually when you play Rana in your deck, the order of your characters matters, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's pretty unusual for that to come up, and it's one of the best applications is in this Mona Electrocharge deck, because as I mentioned, the order is it can be pretty strict unless your opponent, you know, uses Send or something. It goes Fischl into Mona and then Mona into Nahida, and that's almost certainly what we're going to see here with our Rana setup.
Look at those Omni dice. Not all of them came from Leven, like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, making up for a tough round 2 and is going to need to come back. I mean, the Mona Electrocharge deck goes fast. You can see there's no damage kind of stuck on Bao's side, and so Ian Rantan needs to start applying more pressure, and those dice are really going to go a long way.
I think so too. You know, only 3 dice that are off element, and does have Bestis in hand, so looks pretty good for Ian Ratan's side. On Bao's side, we only have 8 dice, and I mean, he's playing a rainbow deck, so not a lot of dice generation.
No, it's 8 dice, but of course Rana generating that extra 1 does mean that he is working technically with 9, and I think that's the right number you need to go, you know, Mona skill into 5 cost from Nahida. So provided his dice line up correctly, that's probably going to be the line we see there. Ooh.
Lotus going on then Nahida, maybe? Maybe?
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is really interesting because, you know, the main line from Bao's side is going to be Mona skill, which Lotus is not very good into.
Yeah, I'm wondering what Ian Ratan is thinking will happen in playing the Lotus.
I'm not sure. Maybe just seeing that he's going to have an extra dice left no matter what and just finding the best opportunity to use it. But yeah, would have liked to see it soak up maybe the official hit that's coming up or something else. But yeah, definitely not the most efficient use of Lotus Crisp. And in these kind of matchups where both sides are very aggressive, like efficiency is pretty key. You know, the more efficiently you can play your cards and mitigate damage, you're going to get those 1 or 2 damage edges that lead to really close games.
Yeah, we have 5 cards coming out of Bao's Nahida, and I think, you know, perfect dice in that case.
Perfect dice, yeah. I mean, one of those, of course, donated by Rana, but yeah, having rolled 4 other Dendro is definitely going to lead to a really good opening from Bao's side. I really like his position here.
It's really interesting, you know, how you can have like the same characters and then build your support cards like slightly different and like achieve similar effects. Like we have Rana in this deck. I don't know if Arc was also carrying Rana before.
I believe the deck. I believe, yeah. I mean, both Ark and L use this deck. I would have to imagine both were using Rana. It's kind of the best ramp kind of dice discount card that the deck can run, and it's one of the best decks at utilizing it. So it's one of the reasons you play this deck.
Yeah, but the Dendro and Hydro 2-cost artifacts were also a really good opportunity.
For sure. I mean, ideally, you can even draw 2 of those effects at the same time and stack them. Obviously, no artifacts right now for Bao's side, but we'll have to see. Could be a Covenant Woven charged, or it wouldn't be a charged attack, unfortunately.
I'm not sure. Maybe looking to swap off of Tignari.
Yeah, going onto someone like Yae and not letting them trigger extra reactions could be a good play here. Is going to need to waste 1 dice, though, in order to make that work.
Yeah, or choose changing shifts.
Oh, interesting. Could be a send-off.
Send-off?
Having to burn 2 cards there just to send off that official summon.
The Seed's gonna take Tignari down to 3. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
It might seem really unusual, but really getting official summon is one of the most potent summons out of the deck, and even getting that last usage off really not only eliminates kind of the damage at the end of turn, but also, you know, the Seeds require a reaction to proc, so denying a reaction there also denies some of the heater's damage going forward. But I think
another skill out of Yae, Ian Ratan choosing to keep the Electro here.
Yeah, unfortunately not drawing. I think Ian Ratan really would have wanted to draw something like I Haven't Lost Yet to get that second energy onto Yae, but not having that could be a little bit tricky because Yae Burst would be really devastating right here.
Yeah, all that card draw between Treasure Seeking Celia and Libin, no. No Gamblers, no I Haven't Lost Yet, so.
No Gamblers. Does have a Sangonomiya Shrine, which probably is a little bit late right now.
Yeah, I think it's a little too late at the moment. I mean, you could always refresh Yae's totems because it's only at 1 usage anyway, so you'd probably do it again. It can stack up to 4. It can stack up to 6. So.
It can stack up to 6, but you know the games usually don't last long enough for it to make use of that. So we'll have to see what the most efficient use out of here is. So switching over to Yae to deny that. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Calx Adeptus.
No Gamblers on the side of Bao, so I mean, Yae does fall, but Bao is at 2 dice. We know there's not going to be any elemental generation, so dice generation.
Yeah, Well, I don't think run is triggered yet, so I think that's actually going to put Double onto 3 dice after everything resolves. No, okay, maybe it did. It's hard to tell because Rana has that highlight there, so I don't know if that means that her effect hasn't triggered yet.
I think we're seeing Woven just so it's charge shot. It'll apply Dendra because Tignari did use his skill before. And now, I mean, there's no real way for Dabao to take Tignari out, so we are going to see Tignari burst. And with that quicken stack, it'll do 5 damage, I believe. So it's just
basically,
official out.
Basically, Dabao has to survive this turn. He will most likely go first next round. It might be a good time to swap off official here, yeah, just so you can figure out the breakpoints for the damage there, so official doesn't die just to Tignari burst.
I feel like we're gonna see Sangonomiya Shrine. Tignari burst Sangonomiya Shrine.
Might not be the worst time to use it, though. With those seed stacks, it can be tricky to avoid having that 1 damage mana, but depends if we want to Adept. I mean, Adeptus wouldn't make sense here, so yeah, that's really the only thing you can do.
You would probably tune your Adeptus to use first.
I mean, Dendro Res could come into play here because... Okay, looks like it's not.
No, one's piercing damage to both sides. Brutal. But there's some more quicken stacks, so I mean, if Dadabao goes Nahida, Totem is not going to take Nahida out.
Yeah, it's definitely very close. I mean, you have to play the Shrine here. There's really not much else you can do.
Yeah, I think you play Shrine here. I think you play Shrine here, and then it'll just prolong Tignari's inevitable demise, maybe.
Yeah, I wonder though if rather than Shrine, the Dendro Res would have been better in this spot, because I think with Dendro Res you would have given yourself an additional Quicken stack and let this, the Yai Totem actually finish off Nahida here. So that might actually end up mattering, but we'll see if the Shrine healing does come into effect as well.
Well, it won't matter for Tignari, because, you know... It depends. It depends.
Yeah, I mean, when you're on Dadaba's side, you have to be thinking, if you take out Tignari here, you're opening yourself to I haven't lost yet burst from Nahida. So there's definitely a play you have to be thinking of. Yeah, okay, much better.
That's better.
Now we know that Ian Watan does not have that. Oh! Mondstadt Resonance.
Uh-oh.
So Dabao still needs to find a way to avoid... Oh, Tandoori! Oh, brutal. Exactly enough. Ouch. Damn.
We're just in sync, like, oh my gosh, Tandoori, like... Okay, that's one cool thing about not seeing the cards and the dice on the other player's side, because we had no idea that was coming. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and you kind of you get a first person seat at what it like to be a play there, because we're sitting in a Rantan's seat thinking, okay, that healing is going to be pretty good. I should have survived the turn, and then your opponent pulls out not only Mondstadt Resonance, because they needed that one card in order to survive, but also Tandoori, perfectly using 8 dice. Or all of their dice in that round, left with 0, had the exact cards needed to come back there.
That was played amazingly by Dabao. Congratulations on taking the first game of this final best of 3. I was just waiting for Ian Ratan to pull I haven't lost yet, because I thought that was what would be necessary. Adeptus burst into Nahida.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, Ian Ratan didn't actually draw the I haven't lost yet, so I don't think they had the tools to kind of close out the game in that way either. But that's one of the reasons why the Mona version has so much taken off recently, is the power of Mondstadt Resonance, especially in these close matchups. It's such a unique effect. That's the only card that basically allows you to skip your opponent's turn, and you saw it being used to kind of the best effect there.
Yeah, that was very fun to watch, I have to say. So, congratulations once again to Dabao for taking the first match in these close qualifiers. So let's see what decks these players take into game 2. Dabao won with the previous deck, so he cannot bring it again. Looks like we're seeing Bin.
Yeah, into a Sino Electrocharge deck.
Wait, really?
Yeah. I'm surprised you missed that. I would have thought you would have jumped at that.
No, I was looking at the top one. I saw Bin. I didn't see the bottom.
Oof. Not the greatest
that is not
hand.
the greatest starting hand. What?
I mean, You know, this is basically very similar to what we were saying before, where this core of Oceanid and Fischl has been in the game for so long, and that third character basically changes how the deck plays after that. You know, Cyno's a very good character to end on as well, and also this allows you to use Electro Resonance over some of the other options out there.
This is reminding me of a deck I built a long time ago when Minty Meat Rolls and Gamblers Refresh was endless. Right now, Minty Meat Rolls, if you use it, it only lasts for 3 usages, but before it would just be like limitless. Like you could just do 2-cost normal attacks like as much as you wanted. So yeah, I had an Electrocharge deck with Cyno. Made use of it.
Looking at Ian Rantan's hand, he has the perfect opener for this Electrocharge. He will be able to go 5-cost into official 3-cost skill.
This is amazing. Wow.
Which is an incredible start. Yeah, that Woven is going to let him do it. And Daba with an unusual Sumeru City in the Bin Ito deck. Actually not a card you see very often.
I have to wonder about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, it's another very efficient way to generate dice like Tenshukaku. With a deck like Bin that likes to equip a lot of weapons, it's a really easy way to get your dice count down in order to trigger that Sumeru City effect. But these summons are gonna, whoa.
You know, Electrocharge is pretty good into Bin, I think, because, you know, it can pierce past the shields.
And not only that, you know, rolling the 2 damaging summons as well on Oceanid and avoiding our good friend George the Frog there also means that was 10 damage out of Ian Rantan's deck from the very first round.
It's probably
10
like
damage.
One of the first cases where, or one of the only cases where you don't want George. Like you're against a very slow deck here with Bin, so look at those dice rolls.
I know. Okay. This is gonna be really hard for Dapao to overcome here. You know.
Okay. Also, against Bin, having 2 Leave It to Me's is so good. Like, just being able to quick swap and snipe someone twice, that's great.
Yeah, and we see those Adeptuses in hand as well. So really, Ian Rantan is gonna need to, as long as they can find a way to set up the energy on either Oceanid or maybe even Cyno, that Adeptus Burst is gonna be really, with the quick swap, gonna be really devastating. Luckily, no Calcs. Calcs, I think, would have just ended the game.
Yeah, Calcs would end the game in this case, but you know, Oceanid.
Oh no! No way!
Oh my god!
No way! Dapao with the Guardian's Oath.
If you're Ian Rantan right now, you are despairing. You're despairing. We're just gonna see Fischl, I think. Oh my god.
Yeah, you cannot be feeling good. That was such an efficient use. You know, all of the summons were only able to get 1 shot off before being destroyed by Guardian, so that's a huge swing.
Lament. Ian Rantan.
Yeah.
That was painful.
I mean, it is painful, but it's still a pretty precarious position for Dapao because even though you're trading very efficient dice for those summons, your opponent has been able to build up energy. And something like Oceanid Burst is really threatening to the Bin Ito deck. And because you don't put a lot of pressure, your opponent has a lot of time to rebuild.
Also, look at this. 2 toss-ups. So, you know, all of those dice that you might not want, just toss them away, basically.
Yeah, we'll have to probably see the toss-up to try... you know, the 5-cost from Oceanid is going to be really important here. I'm gonna keep 3, okay.
Are we going for Fischl Burst?
We might be going for Fischl Burst. It's not the best at taking out Ito here. I think you really want to build towards Oceanid Burst, but there's no way to generate that extra energy. You know, a Calcs Adeptus Burst would have taken out Ito here, but without another way to get that extra energy, yeah, you're pretty much set on using Oceanid.
I'm confused, because, like, you didn't roll away any of your Electro. I guess we're gonna see another toss-up. What?
We might be seeing Cyno take the field pretty soon. You know, at 2 stacks, you might be building towards his burst here. The good thing is...
confused.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is your opponent, Ian Rantan doesn't... Dapao doesn't know that Ian Rantan only has Electro here, so Oceanid being ready to burst is going to threaten Ito quite a bit.
That makes sense, yeah. Kind of forcing Dapao off Ito in that case. Because, you know, the dice count is what's threatening, even if we know it's all Electro.
Yeah, unfortunately though, the summons are going to disappear end of turn, so Oceanid's Burst isn't going to be threatening yet until you can deploy those summons.
You know, one thing I like about Cyno in this deck, and just in general, so I think Cyno is a good anchor card, because you don't really need to be on him in the beginning. You're not really going to rush out his burst in most cases if you can, but you'll kind of use your other two characters in your deck before going to Cyno later on in the game to clean up, because you know he slowly builds those stacks on his Paxworn Path Clear. So right now he's at 3 stacks, and if he goes to 1 more, if he goes to 4, his burst form automatically comes out, and he does so much damage.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of, you know, that third spot in the Oceanid Fischl combo is really dictates what matchups you're caring about. And with Cyno, they're definitely more favoring kind of the stall breaker strategy. So this is a pretty good matchup, I think, overall for Ian Rantan. I mean, without that Guardian's Oath, I think it would have been over for Dabao, but running that Guardian's Oath really clutched it there and kind of gave him a chance in this matchup.
Part of the problem right now is that there's no summons on the board, so Oceanid's Burst isn't going to do too much without Adeptus. And also looks like we're staying on Barbara anyway, but you know, Cyno is at 3 stacks. At 2 stacks, his normal attacks get infused with Electro, so he can already be like attacking with Electro. And also we might see, you'd have to tune for it, but we might see Electro Res into Burst, because Electro Res gives your characters energy. It's 1 cost.
Yeah, we're definitely, I mean, I think we're going to see that Electro Res saved for Ito, because Barbara going down is actually what Dabao would want. You really want to force your opponent to switch off of Barbara themselves. So yeah, we might actually see a lot of swap stalling to see if Dabao is willing to put out Ito. Ooh, this is bad.
How much is... Dude, you could just Adeptus Burst.
You could just Adeptus Burst and it's going to be enough.
Even with no summons, it would be enough. You could just Adeptus Burst.
That's a really risky play from Dabao. Unfortunately, not able to draw Tenacity yet, so Ito hasn't been able to benefit from the shielding. You have to imagine you go for the Adeptus Burst here. You know, taking out Ito when they've already tried to build him up with the Bell and 2 energy is too good of an option to pass up.
Yeah, it's what I would do, because, yeah, and it's what Ian Rantan is about to do as well, because, you know, Ito is the core of that deck. Like, you can finish off things with Noelle, but both Noelle and Barbara are sitting at 3 HP. We do see Ito falling to that burst.
Yeah, and that's kind of the problems even with a card like Guardian's Oath. Even though it's so strong, it lets your opponents build up energy, and you have to spend 4 dice to get rid of those summons. So it prevents a lot of damage, but then it leaves you exposed to those bursts.
The really evil thing to do would be to send off Barbara's skill. That would be
well, at this point, Barbara's self-Hydra application might actually help you, so you probably want to keep it there.
You know, that's true. That's true, but I mean the healing. Because it heals everyone.
Healing for sure. I mean, we're probably going to see a pizza at the end of turn, maybe a swap off onto Fischl to set up for Oz again. I mean, right now Ian Rantan is in a very good spot. The deck, you know, his characters are at full health, while Dabao's side is very low. So there's almost no risk for losing the game from here, especially because Noelle has not got any energy set up.
If I were Ian Rantan right now, I would be preparing to do everything on Cyno next turn, because Cyno is automatically going to be in his burst form. And so, basically, it doesn't matter if he's like a normal attacking or using his skill, he's gonna do a lot of damage. So...
Yeah, we'll have to see how Dabao decides to use the last of the dice. I mean, we could still see a send-off here, because there's not really any better way to use this dice. But yeah, I like just swapping and using pizza here.
Yeah, pizza on Fischl. I mean, you could also just use Electro Res into Fischl Burst. You
could, yeah, set up that burst next turn. But I think it's better to have that as a surprise. I mean, the Fischl Burst is going to be enough to clean it up no matter what. So Dabao getting... you know, that was a really risky play to switch into Ito there at 6 health. Maybe the window was kind of closing, though, with all the damage the Electro Charge deck was putting out. So, you know, I think it's reasonable to swap to Ito there, but you have to expect that your opponent has Adeptus and not playing around that.
I don't know. Really... I feel like exposing Ito, like slow swapping on Ito, is just always bad. Maybe if it had Lotus, you know.
Yeah, if there was a Lotus or some other defensive effect, but losing Ito there, especially with Noelle not actually having built up enough energy to take over, was definitely the losing move there.
Oh, I don't like this.
I mean, there's not much else you can do, because you need Noelle to stay alive. in order to have any chance of winning the game. So Barbara is going to be the one to sacrifice to Official Burst. But I think either way we're going to see the burst here because it's just too good.
But the problem becomes, you know, no one has Hydro on her.
Yeah.
She is most likely to actually clean up if, you know, Barbara falls, but I just... It's not gonna
This
be
is
enough.
probably one of the most one-sided kind of finishes that we've seen so far. I mean, it's really unfortunate. I think even with that Guardian's Oath destroying those summons, it was just too much of a disadvantage having the opponent build up all that energy.
Sino, let's go Sino! He's at 4 stacks and, you know, unfortunately no dynamic skin, so we can't see his epic burst for him.
Okay.
But you're gonna tune into skill, and it will be enough to take out Noel.
Yep, getting +2 damage from that passive. Massive damage, 6 damage coming out of that skill there.
So I think we are 1-1 in this best of 3.
Yeah.
That was a very one-sided match, I think. And you know, when you're playing Bin, you really can't expose Ito like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the tough things for Dapao in that matchup was, I think Jan Rantan's deck was set up specifically against stall decks, right? Like I said, that third kind of anchor slot in the Electrocharged really dictates what matchups you care about. You know, we've seen Pyro Agent for kind of mirror matchups against other Electrocharged decks. We've seen Nahida to be just more aggressive with her skill. But Sino there really signals to me is that they care about the stall matchup. So I think that was just kind of a matchup win in Rantan's favor, able to overcome. I mean, Guardian Oath, I thought was almost enough to end it, but able to overcome that.
And these players, I don't think they know what deck their opponent's gonna take, right? They're just kind of going into the games.
Right.
So it's hard to prepare. It's why we see a lot of send-offs in these decks, because you don't know if you're going to be against summons or not. Sometimes it's really useful. Sometimes it's a card that's just there to tune. But in this case, you know, I think Ian Ratan definitely picked the right deck. That was a great matchup for that deck, and very unusual deck for us to see. I am happy to see Sino personally.
Yeah, I mean, Sino hasn't been really... So ever since Razor kind of got, I guess, that buff to adjust his burst to 2 energy, he's kind of taken over that role in Electro decks, being like that anchor carry that can kind of take over at the end of the game and deal out a lot of damage. So we haven't seen Sino as much, but he's still very effective in these kind of slower decks.
Yeah. You know, there are a few variants of Electrocharge, but that one is definitely not one that's commonly seen, and
No,
I'm very appreciative.
I mean, that's kind of why I love watching players that we haven't watched before. You know, obviously Ian Rantan, as we said, hasn't appeared in Cat's Tail Gathering before.
No! No! Did you see that? No.
I did.
Oh my, this is gonna be a long match.
So you'd think that... So I actually studied this deck quite a bit recently because I'm preparing to maybe make a guide out, assuming it doesn't get nerfed in 4.1. But the Bin vs Bin matchup is a little more dynamic. Oh, and it's a Mona variant and not Barbara. Okay.
Wait, so it's not Bin anymore.
No.
It's Min?
Min.
Min? Nim?
Min Max. I don't know. So this is going to be an interesting matchup, mainly because a lot of this matchup is actually focused primarily around Ito. You know, you want to do what Dapao is doing and start on Ito and stay on Ito for as long as possible. But Yanrantan with, you know, Mona Ito was a very early combo that people identified and hasn't been present a lot, but I really like it here.
So the good thing about Mona is that you have, you know, more quick swaps at the ready. The bad thing about Mona is that you don't have the cleanse and the heal that Barbara offers. So I didn't see if Yanratan took there's a new card, right, that allows you to cleanse a reaction.
Oh, Joyous Celebration.
Yeah, I don't know. Are we in the right patch?
No. We are, but I don't think you run that card in any deck. One of the actually interesting things, so Barbara is not very good in the mirror matchup, so having the Mona variant is actually favored, I think, in this, because as we'll see here, Ito is able to get double crystallized procs from this Mona summon into Ushi combo. Very powerful.
Oh, that is pretty powerful. I mean, when your opponent is Bin, I guess you have more room.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting because, you know, one of the things is whoever gets to Ito burst first usually threatens the other side a lot more. But look at all the damage that's already been put on the opposing Ito. Even though Yanrantan is 1 energy behind, he's definitely winning the damage race here.
And just a reminder for those of you watching, but so these players are 1-1. This is our final best of 3 for the closed qualifiers. And so the winner of this match will be heading to Malaysia to play on stage.
Yeah, winner getting into the top 8 and getting to win that golden card back for sure.
Oh, the golden card
That is all on the line. Okay, so Ito is equipped the belt. Unfortunately, Dabao not able to draw that in the first round, so losing out on a bit of efficiency there.
I do like the
But as
dice
I-
rules for Ian Ratan though. Also, Levin,
Yeah.
2 dice fixers, it's so good.
Yeah, we haven't seen that Mona Ito combo there, but you can see its power and why people played it a lot when Ito first came out. It's not only a very good offensive play, with double crystallize, getting the extra damage, but it's very good defensively because you have 2 summons that have a barrier to soak up damage on top of getting 2 crystallize. So having Ito at 10 here is going to make a ton of difference.
You know, I don't know. We did see the bell equip on the Ito, but I don't know if I like Ito staying out front here. And we are waiting for Dabao to decide what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But I feel like swapping away. Yeah. Just Barba swap.
That's really awkward after equipping the bell,
Yeah, I mean,
unfortunately.
might just see Barba's skill.
We might have to. I mean, it might just be that Dabao's dice at this point didn't line up. Maybe he didn't roll any Geo dice, and so the best he could do was equip Bell there and maybe use Barbara's skill.
Normally, like, if you're gonna do something like equipping a card or playing like Liben or Ramp or something, you'd wait till the very end of the round before doing it, like right before passing, because like otherwise you are telling your opponent that you don't have anything.
Yeah, and definitely equipping there and swapping off is a clear sign that you don't have much dice to work with. And in this matchup, basically being forced off of Ito can be very, very devastating. Because it lets your opponent kind of take the advantage here. We're probably going to see another Mona summon now into Ushi.
You know, one thing I've never understood is why you would tune toss-up instead of just playing Bestis. Because toss-up, you could like fix your entire hand if you have like really, really bad cards. Or
That's true.
really bad
I mean,
dice.
I would imagine because that Sealy proccing there, getting to draw those 3 extra cards probably means that Yanratan's confident that he's not going to need the fixing there. And keeping something like Lieben is actually very good in this matchup because you want to try and stack up as much dice as you want in a single turn.
Oh, this is so good. Treasure Seeking Ceiling to Changing Shift, so it's not going to take a dice to swab, and we're going to see the Crystallize again. The double Crystallize!
Double Crystallize. Unfortunately, though, not as good as before because those barrier aren't going to soak up any damage at end of turn like they did, but now we can see that Yanratan's in a convincing lead. His Ito is not only at higher health than the opposing one, but also is at the same energy now, despite not having any weapons.
Man, both Mona and Ito at 2 energy, the heavy strike coming in. I really feel like Ian Ratan has a huge advantage right now.
Yeah, I mean, in this mirror matchup with Ito, you basically just look at Ito on each side and see which Ito is in the better shape to know who is in the lead. Because that dictates who is able to burst and who can kind of play around different cards. And so, definitely much favoring Yanratan. And yeah, Heavy Strike is great in the mirror as well because it lets you snipe off opposing Itos very easily.
I feel like especially, in a mirror matchup like this, the way you swap your characters around is probably going to be like one of the most important things. And trying to work around Mona's fast swap passive has to be really hard if you're Dabao.
Yeah, and this is kind of where Mona is shining in this slight mirror matchup. Like I said, Barbara is not very good in this matchup because you're not cleansing any reactions, really. If anything, you're adding to your opponent's crystallized reactions, so she doesn't have a very good role. Also, your opponents tend not to do a lot of damage spread out either, and so her healing isn't as effective. So Mona is doing a lot more work than Barbara.
We've basically been seeing the same thing over and over from
Yeah.
Yanratan's side. It's just Mona skill into Ushi, and then you swap back, and then Mona skill into Ushi. But I mean, it's working so well. I mean, both of these
It's so
characters are
efficient.
almost ready to burst.
Yeah, it's so efficient just in terms of damage and defensiveness. But I think Dabao's really been suffering from lack of good dice. Yeah, having to stay on Barbara, we might
Normal
actually see a Barbara
attack.
burst.
That was a normal attack.
Although it's possible we could see a quick swap into a Heavy Strike.
That was
I wonder.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Dabao only has 3 dice left, and using a normal attack on Barbara is not good news.
I mean, it's very much seems like Dapao is setting up for Barbara Burst there. You know, with Ito at 5 and not having drawn Tenacity, yet it's too dangerous for him to take the field, right? Like, he'll definitely go down to a Heavy Strike, which we know that Ian Rantan does have in his hand. So without a defensive option like a Barbara Burst or a Lotus, you can't safely swap to Ito.
I mean, not even a Heavy Strike, but if, you know, we see a swap to Ito, taking out Barbara here would have Ito's burst up.
Yeah, I think you do still need to play Heavy Strike because the regular charge attack should only do 3 damage. So the dice could be a little bit awkward here.
Ito doesn't have any Eclipse, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it only does 3, so you do have to do Heavy Strike.
Yeah, go to Heavy Strike. I mean, it seems like a good option here.
Okay, if you do Heavy Strike, it's fine because Ian Rantan's sitting on Woven.
Yeah, you'd Woven, or you could also Pizza here, Mona as well. You know, either option works. Or actually, you don't even need to use a charge attack here now that you've used.
No, it's still not enough. You have to do Woven. Yeah. There you go.
So it's gonna finish off Barbara, not letting her burst, and now Ito's set up to burst as well.
I don't know if switching to Ito is a good idea here. Ooh. Geores, maybe? No?
I mean, Dapao needs to use either Georez or a Lotus Crisp here in order to protect Ito. Otherwise, it's a really dangerous play.
Woven Toon? That is not a good sign. That is not a good sign. Okay, we do see Geores coming out.
So that does mean that Dapao is safe from the counterattack, and all the shields are going on to Ito.
Oh, man. Honestly, I like passing and playing Levin or something.
That might actually be the play, because then you can equip Lotus Crisp here, put yourself above... Well, that's not going to be enough to put the breakpoint. You'll need to probably Pizza into Laban and then Lotus Crisp next turn. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking a Pizza would be good on the Ito, but I think Ian Rantan just really wants to end first.
Yeah, maybe setting up for a Mona Burst, and then trying to double that damage on Ito Burst. So we'll have to see if Dapao can play around by swap stalling. Unfortunately, because Dapao lost Barbara, it really kind of impairs his ability to stall out Ian Rantan's turn. He has to either use a skill on Noelle or switch back into Ito and maybe leave himself exposed to a Mona Burst there. So I do like this play from Ian Rantan.
I almost wonder, you know, double I haven't lost yet. Of course, with this patch, you can only play one of them. You got nerfed, you can't use both of them. But I almost wonder if we're going to see Ito get sacked after using his burst.
Very likely here. I mean, one of the things I've been noticing about Ian Rantan's deck, it doesn't look like he's either drawn or even running any equipments. And so you haven't invested anything into Ito specifically, so Ito going down isn't the end of the world, assuming you can trade for your opponent's Ito. And him having 3 characters and access to fast swap does put him at an advantage when we talk about like swap stalling and kind of waiting out your opponent here.
We've seen a lot of card draw from Ian's side, but no equipment, as you said, so it might be hidden in there. Maybe the card draw is just really bad, but
yeah. He does have to be careful here not to overdraw from Celia, yeah, so identifying that and using up 1 card so it does not draw past 10.
Okay, this makes sense.
Ooh. That Mondstadt Resonance is gonna probably come in really clutch.
Heavy Strike? Oh!
That might be enough.
Yeah, it is. So Mona's not going to be able to get her burst off, unfortunately. I think we are going to see, well, no. Yeah, Georez in the burst, right?
Yeah, I believe so. So one of the things to keep in mind, Dapal's Ito is only at 1 strength stack, which means he's no longer getting discounted attacks, and so that 4 dice should only be enough for, I think, 1 more hit. And so Georez into Lotus should protect you from the counterattack from Ito. Whereas Ian Rantan's sitting on 7 dice, which might actually be enough to finish off the remaining characters.
Ian Rantan thinking hard about what to do here. It's important. If you put Ito out there, it has to be good, for good reason. And it looks like he does choose to
So Ito does have a second stack of strength here, so we'll be able to do another 2-cost attack, but after that we'll go down to 1 stack.
I think Lotus, Geores, right? Geores.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely Lotus Geores burst here. The important thing is how Dapao chooses to follow up.
Yes. There's the burst. So I mean, with Mona falling, this is actually pretty even now.
It is, although one of the things that Dapao isn't going to maybe can't afford to play around is Ianrata can actually get 2 more attacks off this round between I Haven't Lost Yet and Geores.
And yeah, Woven. So
yeah. So if he decides to stay on Ito, okay, noticing that, swapping off onto Noelle.
You know, I think Ianrata could still go for it though, because changing shifts, you could always swap to Noelle afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, at least that's what I would do in this situation. I would go for taking Noelle out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you are wasting the Lotus there a little bit, but you have 2 more food left in hand, and Noelle's really going to be there to soak up the damage. And after this, Ito's burst is going to run out on Dapao's side.
Well, I don't think it's a waste because you have to Lotus there, right? Like you have to Lotus there, even though it's not going to be eaten up or anything. Like I think you had to do that there. So
yeah, no, you definitely have to use it there, but you know, Dapao being able to play around trying triggering Lotus and at least wasting the Lotus on the opponent's side is really critical, because it really comes down to individual cards like that. Oh,
yeah,
here we go.
I think Noelle's gonna be taken out here, -5, just enough to take Noelle out. And this is really crucial for Ianratan, I believe. I think we're gonna see a changing shifts onto Noelle just to protect Ito.
Definitely.
And that Hydro application, Ito is gonna be brutal, and Ito's burst is up. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, Ianratan's in a really good position here. Dapao is gonna just end round on Ito. Maybe that's always safe? It could be.
Do those 4 shield points carry over?
Yeah, those 4 shield points will definitely carry over. So, Ito is sitting at 7, which I believe, I mean, Heavy Strike could still be an option, but I guess Ito's burst is already down. I mean, as long as these bin mirror matchups go, it's kind of a very interesting dance, because you're really having to play around your opponent's Ito while setting up your own one, and any wrong move can really end the game here. And so understanding where those breakpoints are, like when it's safe to stay on Ito so that you had the initiative when you swap, of swapping, will matter a lot.
Oh, is it Ushi?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keeping Ito safe there. I mean, does need to build back up to the burst, because without burst, I don't think you can win in the mirror matchup. So if Ianrata can finish the game this round, he's going to have a tremendous advantage. But the dice, probably going to see a toss-up.
I mean, toss-up would solve a lot of problems. You also can tune Monsat Res. There's a lot of cards here you're not going to use. Like, all that food, you don't need all of it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Ianratan is going to use toss-up. He's probably just letting the turn kind of whittle down to give himself more time to think.
Yeah, sometimes the more options in your hand you have, the harder it is to figure out what to do, because there's so many different lines to play. Wow, the perfect toss-up.
Well, not perfect yet, but okay, good enough.
Good enough for me.
Good enough for anyone, really. Okay.
I think you just...
Yeah, you can definitely equip Lotus here and burst, or just maybe even use a heavy strike attack. But your opponent is at 9 effective health, which I think, without a bell equipped, it's not going to be enough to take out the Ito. I think it's 1 damage short, so you do need to make sure Ito survives this round. But honestly, after that, Noelle might be able to carry it through regardless.
Yeah, I think we are going to see a Lotus on the Ito. Ianratan thinking hard about what to do here. It's not always, you know, like maybe there's a line that you and the audience might see is very clear, but when you're in the moment in this like high stakes game, this is the last game to determine who's going to be going on to the top 8 and compete on stage. Like the pressure's on, right? So
yeah, the pressure's definitely on, and you know, you don't want to make a mistake here. I mean, this is the deciding match for who gets into top 8. It's the difference between making it out to Malaysia for the live qualifiers and not. You know, you want to take your time.
Interesting, not opting for the heavy strike. I actually feel like the heavy strike might have been good. Question
I mean,
mark?
there's still the opportunity to use Heavy Strike after this, and actually, yeah, with no other defensive measures coming from Dapao, Heavy Strike is going to finish it. All Ian Ranta needs to do is
Use
place his
pizza.
dice correctly.
You have to
Yeah.
use heavy strike and then also use another one
Yeah,
cost card.
I actually don't know if you can use Pizza on Noel
Noel.
here, but you have
Oh,
Mondstadt
yeah, you
Residence.
can. Mondstadt Residence not gonna do anything, but
No, but
it's it's for using the dice. Oh, Tito does fall. That is just enough damage, and Ian Raton takes his final match in the best of 3. We will be
Wow.
seeing you at Malaysia. Congratulations.
And what a close game. I mean, you know, the mirror matchup is very difficult to play, but Ian Rantan bringing the Mona version instead of Barbara is perfect for the mirror. You just saw how effective that combination of Mona's skill into Ushi from Ito was at not only building up energy on Ito, but, you know, defensive and offensive at the same time. That's exactly what you need in that matchup.
You're just going back and forth from Mona to Ito.
It's very effective.
It is very effective. You know, it was very methodical too. And when you're Davao, you know, it's hard to figure out how to play into it because, like, as you were saying, like, there's no reaction to really cleansing. Like, you can't play to the strength of Bin in that case.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like...
you're really up to the dice and the cards there, and you know, if you look back over the game there, at one point Dapao definitely equipping Bell and not able to do anything on Ito at all was a huge downside. You know, you don't want to swap off Ito in that matchup as much as possible. You want to stay on Ito and build up his burst first, and he had the advantage with the Bell, but you know, drawing it in the round 2 and then not able to use it after equipping it was a really tough thing to come back from.
Yes. So we saw 4 best of 3s today, but there were another 4 playing simultaneously. And these are the top 8 players that will be making it to the stage event. So the 4 players we didn't see play today, Rev, Inzaghi, Jiarin, and Kong.
Yeah, and I mean, some familiar names there for sure, like Inzaghi has appeared in previous Castel gatherings, but also a lot of newcomers. I really like this mix of players. We definitely have players who have very strong tournament finishes, but I always love seeing players we've never watched before. I mean, they bring different decks, as we saw today. Pretty much all the new players that have not appeared on stream brought a very interesting variant of decks that we're familiar with and played them very well.
Yeah, and you know, there's, you know, some mix of success and you know, some things that didn't quite work out. But all in all, it's very fun to watch, you know, as a caster. It's always entertaining when something new takes the field, and especially when it, like, succeeds against something that's tried and true meta deck. So
yeah, I mean, I really want to highlight kind of that mirror matchup before, you know, the players are very familiar with playing against set matchups, so the Bin mirror is very intricate when you have Barbara on both sides, but suddenly swapping out Mona for Barbara suddenly changes the dynamic a lot, really puts the favor into the Mona deck side, and so if you're not used to playing against those matchups, you might just end up losing to some of these like slightly unusual builds of popular decks.
yeah, that mirror matchup was very fun to watch. I mean, it wasn't quite a mirror matchup. It was Bin versus Min.
No.
I'm not sure how the players would call that deck with Mona instead of Barbara, but I'm calling it Min. So, but all in all, you know, it was very fun today to cast these matches, and you know, thank you so much for watching at home. If you're following along, please tune in to the stage event, the finals, where these top 8 players you saw on the screen just now will be facing off against each other for a lot of prizes. We will be seeing you guys soon. Once again, this has been Leah.
And this has been Blep, and been really looking forward to these top 8 matches for these players.
Yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Please stay tuned for the finals on the Astro Carnival Twitch and YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.